Hey friends, welcome back to Mind Over Market Stories, where we don't just read charts, we read ourselves. Be honest. Have you ever stared at a red PL so long your chest got tight, swore you'd win it back, and then broke your own rules 5 minutes later? Maybe you moved a stop, just this once, or doubled down because the pain of being wrong felt worse than the loss itself. If that hit a nerve, you're not alone. Here we talk about the moments you don't post on social. Shaky hands, sleepless nights, and that quiet voice asking, "Am I cut out for this?" This channel exists for one reason: to put mind over market, to turn failure into feedback, panic into patience, and setups into systems you can actually trust. Today's story asks a question most traders whisper, but rarely answer. How long does it take to be mentally steady in trading? Not just to catch a winner, but to stay calm when your plan meets real volatility, to let a loss be a lesson instead of a spiral. If you felt the sting of revenge trades, the shame of breaking rules, or the weight of doubt after a drawdown, this episode is for you. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments. Yes, you've wrestled with your emotions in the market. Or no, you've never let feelings push the buttons. Drop a yes or no below. Let's get honest, get grounded, and get better, together. I didn't come to trading for freedom. Not at first. I came for relief. Relief from the knot in my stomach every time the paycheck ran out before the month did. Relief from the quiet panic that flared at the grocery checkout when I pretended to read the cereal box, so the person behind me wouldn't see me counting bills in my head. Trading looked like a door. Simple as that. A door to more. On my first real day in the market, the charts felt like fireworks. Candles burst and faded, and with each pop I felt the future inch closer. Debts dissolving, a better apartment, that private smile people wear when they know they've outsmarted the system. I placed my first trade with the holy combination of certainty and ignorance. Confident I was different. Completely unaware I was exactly the same as every beginner who came before me. Be honest, have you ever felt that bone-deep rush that drowns out common sense? That moment when you think, I can do this fast. It's intoxicating. It's also the first quiet lie. How long, I asked myself that first week, until I feel steady? Not rich, not famous. Just steady. Calm enough to let a loss be a loss without tearing myself apart to reverse it. I didn't have an answer. I only had speed. The market is patient with no one. It didn't take long for my certainty to meet reality. A morning gap up turned into a waterfall, and the number in my PL turned red so quickly, I swear I felt the room tilt. I slid my stop a few ticks. Just this once, it hit. I moved it again. It hit again. A tiny loss became respectable, then serious, then shameful. I sat frozen, pretending strategy while my chest tightened, and the cursor hovered over the close position button like a hostage negotiator's hand over a wire. When I finally clicked, I didn't feel relief. I felt the heat of embarrassment in places you can't show. Anger arrived second, aimed at the market, at the broker, at the internet connection, at the candle that should have reversed. Never at the person pushing the buttons. That came later. I promised myself discipline after that. I wrote a plan so thorough you could have used it to assemble furniture. Risk 1 hour per trade. Respect stops. Take profits at structure. 3 setups. No hero trades. The page looked clean. My psyche didn't. The next loss didn't sting as much. It burned, but it wasn't the money, not really. It was the story collapsing. The one where I was the gifted exception who just gets it. For the first time, I watched the market do nothing wrong while I did everything wrong, and I still wanted to blame something I couldn't name. If you've been there, you already know. When we can't find a culprit, we look in the mirror and start swinging. That's when revenge trading tapped me on the shoulder like an old friend with bad ideas. You're a few good trades away from even, it whispered. You can fix this in an afternoon. I oversized. I overtraded. I overpromised myself it would be the last time. By the closing bell, the little fire had become a brush blaze, and I was standing in the smoke, tasting metal on my tongue. How long? I asked again. Until I stopped doing this to myself. You expect a formula at this point: learn X, master Y, execute Z, feel steady by weekend. I wanted that too. I bought courses. I filled notebooks. I painted my screen with indicators until it looked like a Christmas tree. I memorized acronyms. Arir, Atir, Esir, FOMO. I set up alarms that were supposed to save me from myself. None of them did. Because tools are just tools. The hand holding them decides. It took a while to see the pattern beneath my patterns. I didn't have a trading problem. I had a time problem. More precisely, I had a now problem. I was trying to buy not just returns, but a feeling, right now. The feeling of certainty. The feeling of control. The feeling that the story I told myself about who I was in this world could survive a red candle. I wanted the psychological paycheck up front, and the market kept declining my card. You can call it ego. You can call it insecurity. I call it the part of me that believed suffering ends when success begins. Trading taught me that belief is backward. In the market, success starts when you stop bargaining with suffering, when you accept that discomfort isn't a detour. It's the road. One morning, after a night of numbers marching through my head like soldiers, I opened the platform and did something different. Nothing. I watched the open without touching a key. Price ran, retraced, tempted, like a siren with perfect pitch. My hand twitched. I kept it still. Inside, a battle raged that had nothing to do with tick size or slippage. It was me versus me. Guess which opponent knows your tells. A setup I recognized formed. I took it small, so small it felt silly. The trade worked, then pulled back, then worked again. I followed my plan like a person learning to walk after an injury, slow, uneven, grateful. When I closed, the money was less than yesterday's loss. The peace was more. This, I realized, is what steady starts to feel like. But steady isn't a finish line. It's a practice. And practice is an agreement you make with time. That afternoon, I wrote a new question in the margin of my journal. How long does it take to be mentally steady in trading? Not how long until I make X. Not how long until I win most days. Just how long until the second I place a trade, I'm no longer bargaining with reality, and the second I close it, I'm not rewriting the past in my head. The answer didn't arrive in a course or a thread or inside the wick of a perfect candle. It arrived in the quieter places, when I logged off on time, when I skipped a setup because it didn't fit my conditions, when I let an unrealized winner be a winner without squeezing it for every drop of juice. It arrived in the heavy moments too, when I took a loss and stood up anyway. When I watched the market run without me and didn't chase. When I sat with the ache of could have and left it unnamed. It took me weeks to see that my brain had been timing me, like there was a number out there that would prove I belonged. 30 days to discipline. In 90 to mastery, 1 to 80 to invincibility. This is the market's cruel joke. It knows how desperately we want guarantees, and it offers none. You can hate that, or you can love the freedom inside it. I decided to try loving it. Here's the part people don't like to say out loud, because it sounds like failure before it sounds like wisdom. I didn't become steady when I started winning more. I became steadier when I started losing right. Losing right meant I no longer made the loss prove anything personal. It meant I took the feedback and left the self-attack. It meant a stop-loss was a seatbelt, not a dare. It meant I learned the difference between pain and harm. Pain asked me to pay attention. Harm asked me to leave the room. I listened. If you've ever sat at your desk and felt your heart speed up for reasons that won't make sense to your friends, if you've ever closed a green trade and felt emptier than when you started, if you've ever promised yourself, this time I'll be calm, and then watched yourself sprint into the same burning building, this part is for you. There is nothing wrong with you. There is only training you haven't done yet. Training looks like boredom, and boredom is holy. Training looks like saying no when yes would be exciting. Training looks like taking a day off after a drawdown, even though there's a setup on the screen that looks like fate. Training looks like doing the same small right thing until the part of you that screams for novelty learns to sit and stay. You don't build steadiness to feel heroic. You build it so you don't need heroics. How long? I still get this question in my DMs, in the comments, in the gaps between candlesticks, when the chart is quiet enough for the real questions to surface. I answer with the only truth I own. As long as it takes to stop negotiating with time. As long as it takes to respect your stop more than your story. As long as it takes to want peace more than you want dopamine. For some, that's months. For others, it's years. What matters is not the calendar. It's the repetitions. There was a day I will never forget because nothing special happened. I took 2 trades according to plan. One stopped. One hit target. The net was a small green. I logged off early and sat in the leftover silence that used to terrify me. I waited for the urge to open the platform again. It didn't come. I made coffee. I called my sister. I walked outside. For the first time, I felt like a trader after the trading day. Like the market didn't own my nervous system once the candles stopped moving. That's when I understood steadiness isn't about what you feel during the trade. It's about who you are before and after. I started measuring my growth differently. Not by the equity curve, though it matters, but by the behavior curve. Did I keep my risk fixed? Did I take only my setups? Did I honor my daily stop? Did I exit when my plan said to exit? Not when the pain said, make it stop, or the greed said, maybe more. I tracked those answers obsessively, and something strange happened. The PL began to reflect the person I was becoming, not the person I was pretending to be. And then, predictably, I slipped. Because growth is not a staircase, it's a spiral. You'll pass the same lessons at higher floors. After a string of greens, I got sloppy around the edges, just a little. The just a little is how every avalanche begins. My journal entries thinned. My risk crept. I told myself I had earned the right to push it. The market disagreed. It reminded me kindly at first. I didn't listen. It raised its voice. I learned. That night, I wrote this sentence and underlined it until the paper almost tore. Steady is not a mood. It's a method. When you treat steadiness like a feeling, you chase it. When you treat it like a method, you build it. So how do you build it? My method isn't unique, but it is mine. One system, one risk, one market, until boring. If you can't fall asleep describing your setup to a stranger, you're not done learning it. Boredom is the badge. Pre-commit publicly, even if the public is just your future self. My checklist is signed before the open. Future me has to answer to past me, not to adrenaline. Time-boxed sessions. I'm a worse human after 3 hours of blinking candles. I trade within a window. The market's 24/7. My brain isn't for recovery rules. After a daily max loss, I stop. After a weekly drawdown, I reduce size. After a tilt day, I take the next day off. The rules run even when I don't want to. Post-trade story audit. For every trade, I write the story I told myself before, during, and after. Lies rot in daylight. This is the unglamorous gospel. No one asks you about your recovery rules in the comments. They ask about your win rate. But the secret architecture of a steady trader is built in the days you don't trade. In the setups you let pass, in the logs you keep when you'd rather forget. There is another truth I resisted. You will never be steadier in the market than you are in life. If you bleed urgency in your relationships, you will bleed urgency on your charts. If you lie to yourself about the small things, you will lie to yourself about the big ones. If you chase validation on social, you will chase candles on Monday open. The market is a mirror. It will show you what you are until you become what you say. I used to think steadiness would feel like numbness, no spike, no sink, just a flat line of monk-like calm. That's wrong. Steadiness feels alive. It's the kind of calm that can hold excitement without spilling. It's not the absence of fear. It's the ability to walk with fear without giving it the wheel. It's the confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself when no one's watching. People say trading is a game of probabilities. They're right, but your mind is the base rate. Tilt that, and you tilt everything. I used to read the market to predict it. Now I read myself to participate in it. Prediction is a young person's fantasy. Participation is an adult's craft. And still the question remains, because it always returns, whispering at the edge of every new week. How long? How long until the bad habits stay gone? How long until the setbacks don't shake you? How long until the voice that says, fix it now, sounds farther away than the voice that says, follow the plan? Here is my hard-won answer, an answer that is honest, even if it isn't flashy. It takes as long as it takes to build a life that doesn't need the market to make you feel okay. When you have that, the market becomes a place you work, not a god you worship. Your stops stop feeling like punishments. Your targets stop feeling like trophies. Your day ends when it ends. Your worth goes home with you. If you're looking for a cheat code, I don't have one. I have practices that make the question, how long, less interesting. Because once you're in practice, time passes differently. You wake up one morning and realize you don't remember the last time you moved a stop, just this once. You log a losing day and you don't spiral. You miss a move and you don't chase. You are still, not stiff. Still, I want that for you. The stillness, not the stiffness. The capacity to sit in front of a storm of numbers and remain a person whose breath belongs to them, not to the screen. The person who can witness a drawdown and choose boundaries over bravado. The person who can walk away on a green day without looking back because abundance feels safer than scarcity. Some nights, I reread my earliest journal entries, the ones where every sentence is a bargain with tomorrow. I keep them as a souvenir, a reminder of the life I used to live in my head. The entries now are different. They are smaller, cleaner, truer. Followed the plan. One stop, one target. No rules broken. Done. If you read them, you might think they're boring. I read them and feel rich. So if you're here, sitting with the same raw questions I carried, let me speak directly to the ache under your ribs. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not the sum of last week's mistakes. You are a person learning to keep steady hands in a moving world. The market will teach you, but only if you're willing to be a student longer than your ego wants to be. That is the real time horizon. That is the answer to how long. Stay with it, but don't sprint. Build the method. Guard the boredom. Keep the promises. And when you slip, as you will, return gently and quickly. That's the practice. That's the path. When you're ready, ask yourself the only question that matters. How long are you willing to train your mind to let your plans speak louder than your pain? However long that is, that's how long it takes. Be honest, how many times have you promised, tomorrow I'll trade like a different person, and woke up wearing the same mind? I used to think discipline was a door I could walk through once and never look back. But discipline is more like a revolving door. You pass through it every day, or you don't pass at all. The market taught me that with the gentleness of a brick. After part one's little awakening, you know, the day I did nothing and felt everything, I expected the montage to begin. Cue the tidy wins. Cue the wiser version of me, unbothered by noise. But montages are for movies and my life is not one. What came instead were tests, small, relentless, maddeningly human tests. The open looked clean, higher time frame uptrend, shallow pullbacks, my setup printing like it knew my name. Don't get cocky, I whispered, like that ever helped anyone. First trade, textbook. Second trade, modest. Third trade, the one that felt like destiny. I sized up 2 clicks, earned it, I said. The chart didn't care. It clipped my stop in a flash wick that looked exactly like a mean joke and then ran to target without me. I stared at the screen like it owed me an apology. Here's the truth I keep relearning. You can win twice and still lose yourself on the third. My heart rate spiked. The fix-it voice arrived. I almost obeyed. But the question I'd been asking, how long until steady, floated up like a life preserver. Not, how long until I get it back? Not, how long until I make the day look good? How long until I'm steady right now, in this exact discomfort? I stood up. Literally stood up. Walked to the sink. Ran water over my wrists like I was washing the heat out. When I came back, the chart had moved on. I hadn't. I wrote one line in my journal, a wick is not a verdict, then I did nothing. That was the win. Not the PL, the pause. What if your next edge isn't a pattern but a pause? I used to hate checklists. I thought they were for pilots and people who faint at the sight of risk. Then I watched a calm trader survive a savage day with a scrap of paper and a pen. He checked boxes while everyone else checked their pulse. I asked for a copy. He said, write your own. Mine looks like this. Context read, HTF. Trend, key levels, volatility regime, news risk, done before open. Playbook setups allowed today. A. B, maybe C. No sudden D. Size fixed 1R. Reduce after first stop. Never increase midday. Entry, limit to 2 attempts per idea. Exit, partial at structure, final at target, out at stop, no edits. Daily stop, tour, a walk away. Post-trade note, story audit in 1 sentence. Boring. Yes, beautiful also yes, because boring is stable. And stable is the road to steady. But the checklist wasn't magic until I turned it into promises instead of preferences. Preferences bend, promises hold. Every morning, I initial it like a contract with myself. The ritual matters. Rituals are bridges. When the market shakes, you walk across the same bridge you built yesterday. Are you willing to be boring long enough to become exceptional? There's a kind of loss that feels oddly clean. You followed the plan. You took the stop. It stings, then it passes. Then there's the loss that leaves fingerprints on your day. Sticky, clingy, humming with, if only. Those are the ones that tempt you to negotiate with reality. One Tuesday gave me both. Trade. 1. Clean loss. I typed, A is A, stop respected. Trade 2, impulsive entry right after. Same symbol, same idea. No fresh context. That's not a setup. That's an argument. The market ended it. Another stop. I stared at my reflection in the black part of the monitor and felt the old shame rise. Here we go again. I almost wrote something self-punishing. Instead, I wrote this. You are allowed to be a student. And then, this mattered more than the words, I reduced size for the rest of the session and took only one more trade when my actual signal appeared. It scratched. My day closed, 2R, my brain intact. If you can walk out with your mind on a red day, you're closer than you think. I learned to separate trader me from human me. Human me is lovable. Flawed, excitable, and not allowed anywhere near the keyboard without supervision. Trader me created rules that human me cannot override. No trading after 3 hours. Past that, fatigue dresses up like intuition. No adding to losers. I'm not building a position, I'm building a trap. No chasing after missed moves. If it runs without you, it wasn't yours, is written on a sticky note I move each morning, so I'm forced to touch it. No news trades. I don't bet on explosions. I build houses that withstand them. And this one, the hardest. No trading to change how I feel. If I'm using the market to soothe, to prove, to distract, or to punish, I'm done for the day. I wish I had learned that cheaper. Which rule, if you made it non-negotiable today, would save you 5 years? There's a certain loneliness to doing it right. The internet rewards fireworks. Steadiness looks like a dimmer switch. One Friday, I executed 4 trades by the book. B plus 1R, 1R, 0.5R, 0.5R, net small green. I went to post the recap, then stopped. Not because I was ashamed, because I was proud in a quiet way that didn't need applause. That was new. For years, I chased applause like oxygen. But a strange thing happens when you put mind over market for real. The market stops being a stage and becomes a workshop. The work is enough. The work is the applause. I still share. But now I share process wins. Kept size flat all week. Respected daily stop 3 days in a row. Skipped B setup and C regime. Those posts don't go viral. They go vital. What if the metrics you don't brag about are the ones that make you unbreakable? I used to read drawdowns like a personal indictment. Now I read them like weather. Not permanent, but real. Not my fault, but my responsibility. After a tough stretch, I run a debrief that has nothing to do with superstition and everything to do with structure. Data scan, win rate, average R adverse excursion, time of day performance, behavior scan, broken rules, FOMO instances, media exposure, sleep, 3, market scan, regime shift, volatility compression, context mismatch with playbook, reset protocol, size cut by half for 5 sessions, remove C setups, mandatory day off. The first time I did this, I felt like I was admitting weakness. The 5th time, I realized I was admitting reality. Reality is the only opponent you can partner with. Are you tracking the numbers that actually drive your nervous system, or just the ones that fit on a screenshot? Sometimes I open the old journal to write to the version of me who needed this long before I could say it. You're not addicted to trading. You're addicted to relief. Relief is a slippery coach. It cheers you into bad plays and leaves before the whistle. Stability is quieter. It won't high-five you. It will still be there tomorrow. Don't ask the market to make you feel worthy. Ask it to reveal where you bargain with yourself. Then stop bargaining. I sign it, you but steadier. Then I get up, make tea, and do something unrelated to price. Steadiness loves slowness. Slowness loves ordinary life. Laundry, walking, texting a friend back without glancing at a chart. The more ordinary my non-trading hours become, the less extraordinary the market needs to be to keep me sane. If your life off the charts is chaos, why expect calm when candles move? One afternoon, my setup printed 3 times in 2 hours. I took the first. Passed the second, marginal. Passed the third, late in my session window. I closed the platform early and felt bored. Old me would have panicked at that feeling, sprinting towards stimulation like a moth toward a porch light. This time I sat with it. Boredom, it turns out, is the sensation of a brain that used to crave chaos settling into enough. I'm not saying trading is dull. I'm saying steadiness is. And that's perfect because you can scale dull. You can scale calm. You can't scale panic. Panic scales you. When was the last time you let boredom be your teacher? The DM came from a new trader. Real talk, how long until I'm steady? 90 days if I grind? 6 months if I journal? 1 year if I go monastic? I stared at the message and felt that old ache, the part of me that used to crave a guarantee. I told them the best truth I have: if you marry the timeline, you'll cheat on the process. If you marry the process, time stops mattering. They said that sounded like a cop-out. Fair. So here's the version with numbers. I felt glimpses of steadiness within months. I felt habits turning sturdy within a year. I felt identity-level steadiness. The kind that travels with you across regimes after enough cycles of breaking and remaking promises that the remade ones finally held under pressure. For me, that meant years. Not because I'm slow, because I'm human. Would you rather be fast for a season or unshakable for a career? A friend sent me their chart and confessed they'd doubled size after a loss. I recognized the pattern so well it felt like a mirror. We hopped on a call. I didn't give them indicators. I gave them interrupts, micro-pause, stand, breathe, 30 seconds minimum after any stop. Language shift, never say, get it back. Say, get back to plan. Pre-commit reset, after first stop. Size auto reduces next trade, no exceptions. Endgame clarity, define done for the day by rules. And not feelings. They said it sounded simple. I said, exactly. Simple is repeatable. Repeatable is time's best friend. We don't need smarter. We need steadier. We don't need new goals. We need fewer exits from the old ones. If your edge disappeared tomorrow, would your habits still make you money? There was a week where I barely moved the needle for 0.8 R total. Best me would have called it a waste. Present me calls it tuition paid in attention. I refined a level, simplified a rule, noticed a time of day drift. I slept, I stretched, I returned. And when the market opened a door the following week, I walked through it like I knew the floor plan. This is another kind of answer to how long? As long as it takes to learn the difference between motion and progress. I used to move a lot. Now I progress more, moving less. Are you busy or are you getting better? People imagine steadiness as invincibility. Mine feels more like permission. To be small, to be late, to be wrong, to stop. The absence of compulsion tastes like clean water after a long run. My mind checks the door locks and then goes to bed. On a recent Monday, I hit my daily stop early. Old me would have hustled back like a gambler spotting an ATM. New me made breakfast, answered emails, and watched the light change on the wall. The market kept doing market things. I kept doing human things. Nothing dramatic happened except I didn't wreck my week. Isn't that the point? Not to become a legend, but to become reliable to yourself. What if the most radical thing you could do this year is become reliable? So really, how long until steady? Here's where I land today, knowing tomorrow I may say it better. It takes as long as it takes to become the kind of person whose identity and infrastructure hold under pressure. Identity. You are the kind of trader who keeps promises. Infrastructure. You have the kind of rules that keep you when your mood won't. Time does its part if you do yours. The market will cycle. Your brain will learn. Your nervous system will slowly stop sprinting. You'll forget you used to move stops. You'll forget you used to chase. One day you'll realize your edge isn't fragile anymore because you aren't fragile anymore. When will that day come? Not on a calendar. It arrives like dawn, gradually, then all at once. Set a timer for 5 years if you must. Then throw the timer away and keep the promises. If you're still here, breathing a little slower than when you started, consider this your checkpoint. You don't need a new indicator. You need a new agreement with time. You don't need a guru. You need a mirror that tells the truth and a method that holds its hand. You don't need to feel steady to act steady. You act steady first. The feeling follows, and when you slip, as we all do, return quickly, gently, completely. The faster you forgive, the faster you resume. That's not soft. That's surgical. The cut heals. The scar reminds you, tomorrow the market will open. Somewhere a wick will look like fate. Somewhere, a novice will move a stop and call it strategy. Somewhere, you will sit down, check your boxes, and trade your plan. You will be tempted. You will be tested. And inch by inch, trade by trade, pause by pause, you will become the person your old self needed. That is the answer I carry. That is how long. Here's where I want to leave you. Plain, honest, and useful. If you came looking for a number, I get it. We all want to circle a date on the calendar and call it steady. But the real answer to how long it takes to be mentally steady in trading is this. As long as it takes to keep more promises to yourself than you break, day after day, until the keeping becomes who you are. For most people, the first glimpses arrive in months, sturdy habits in about a year, and identity-level steadiness comes after you've faced several full cycles of winning, losing, slipping, and returning without rewriting your rules. It's not magic. It's repetitions. The lesson I had to learn the hard way is simple. You don't earn steadiness by finding a perfect setup. You earn it by respecting imperfect days. Use a checklist you actually sign. Set a daily stop and honor it like a seatbelt. After a loss, pause, stand up, breathe, reduce size. Audit your behavior, not just your PL. Track boring wins. Didn't move the stop, didn't chase, closed on plan, logged off on time. And protect the life around your trading. Sleep, food, movement, people. If your life is chaos, your charts will be too. What I'm trying to pass on is permission. You are allowed to be a student for longer than your ego prefers. You are allowed to be small and consistent instead of dramatic and broken. You are allowed to let time help you. The market isn't a test of your worth. It's a mirror. When the reflection hurts, don't smash the glass. Change the stance, so how long? Long enough to choose method over mood, again and again, until calm is your default and the market is just a place you work. If you want company on that path, this is what Mind Over Market Stories is for. Turning panic into patience and plans into proof. If today's message steadied you even a little, stay with us. Subscribe, drop a comment, and bring a friend who needs the truth more than a shortcut. We'll keep showing up, not to promise easy, but to practice steady together.